Howdy guys, lovely to see you all again. This lesson goes out to Bobby Fullerton, one of my wonderful students, asked to learn a Kiss song. I was like, Kiss is lame. Let's look at it anyway. And then I listened to the song like, holy crap, this is awesome. What a cool solo. So he has made a believer out of me. Hopefully I can make a believer out of you guys. Without further ado, let's have a look at Shock Me by Kiss. Come on! Alright guys, before we get started, we just need to talk about the tuning, which is E flat standard, which goes E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, and another E flat. So get yourself in tune and we'll get started. Alright guys, let's have a look at the first section. I'm going to start off with the double stop on 12 of the first and the second string. We can kind of have a slide in, and we're essentially going to do 12 triplet notes. The only thing that's going to change is on the 12th triplet on that first bar, I'm just going to hit 12 of the first string by itself. So we're going to go pineapple, 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 pineapple. At the end of that, I'm just going to play 15 of the second string after that, and then we work into this phrase. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing a slide into 12 of the first string, and I want to go 12, 15, 12, 15. Let's take it from the start. At the end of that, I'm going to work into this phrase. There's 6 bends altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it works into this phrase. Let's go through that slowly. I'm going to start off with a hammer on from 5 to 7 on the 4th string. And then I'll play 5, 7 on the 3rd string, both picked. At the end of that, I've got 3 bends from 7 of the 3rd. So I'll play that phrase thus far a little bit slower. At the end of that, I'm doing a hammer on into a pull off going 5, 7, 5 on the 3rd string, then jumping to 7 of the 4th. At the end of that, I'm doing a hammer on from 5 to 6 on the 3rd. All together. And that's pretty much the whole phrase before it works into the second section. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with that double stop from 12 of the first and the second string with the triplets and work all the way to the end of the section, and then we'll do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Alright guys, let's have a look at the second section. This is probably my favorite just because of the hilarious legato that ensues. I'm starting from 8 of the first string, I'm plucking that, and then rolling back 7, 5 on that first string, then jumping to 8 of the second string. Okay, and I'm going to do a similar idea from the second string. I'm going to play 8 of the second string, pull off 7, 5, and then resolve that to 7 of the 3rd string. That's both ideas back to back. So we're essentially going to do one of each of those legato ideas 4 times, but we're going to have 2 relatively slow with little gaps in between, and then we're going to have 2 that are a bit faster that just have no gaps, just one straight after the other. So that's going to sound like this. Okay, all that we're going to change now is at the end of the last group, where we have the second quick group, I'm going to add in another one of that last legato from the second string to the third. So let's have a look at what we've got now. Hopefully that's making sense. And then I work into this phrase. All right, let's slow that down. Still around the A minor pentatonic with those cheeky major thirds as well. I'm going to work into this. I'm playing 5 of the second string, and then playing 7 of the third string as a bend into a pull-off. Pulling off to 5. And then I want to go to 7 of the fourth string. At the end of that, so I'm playing 7 of the third, rolling to 7 of the fourth, and then playing 5 of the third string. Now what I want to do is just add a hammer on from 5 to 7 of the third string. So we've got this much now from 5 of the second string. Let's go from this point after all the legato at the start, nice and slow. At the end of that, so I'm going to slow that down. I'm going to do a hammer on from 5 to 6, nice major third there on the third string, and then I want to play 7, 5, 7 on the fourth. At the end of that, I slide into 11 of the third string. And that'll set us up for section 3. So let's go from the second string, work through that phrase, and then we'll add in all of the crazy stuff from the start with the legato. Sorry. All right, right back to the start, and then again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. Okay, so the end of the second section, we ended on this slide into 11 of the third string, and then that works into this phrase. So after I've slid into 11, I've got a hammer-on pull-off going 10, 13, 10 on the second string, and then I'm going to jump to 11 of the third, and then play 10 of the second again. That slide was from the previous section. At the end of that, so I've got a bend from 13 of the first string, and then I want to chromatically play 12, 11, 10 on the first as well. You'll notice at the end of that phrase, I added another bend from 13. At the end of that, let's slow that down. I'm playing 12, 11, 10 again on the first string. Then I want to jump to 13 of the second, back to 10 of the first. At the end of that, I'm going to play 13 to 10 on the second string. Let's take it from the start of the section relatively slowly, and then we'll add the second half. Okay, hopefully that's all making sense. I then slide into 17 of the third string, and then I also play 17 of the second. So you can just sort of have a flat finger sort of doing a bit of a double stop idea. Then I work into this phrase exactly the same 3 times. So what I'm doing here, it's basic A minor pentatonic. I'm doing a bend from 19 of the third string, and then doing a flat finger covering 17 of the second and the first string. Just working through those, and then doing a pull off from 20 to 17 on the second string. And I'm going to do that phrase 3 times. After I've done that 3 times, it works into this phrase. So at the end of that, I'm doing a slight bend on 19 of the third string and 2 pull-offs from 20 to 17 on the second. At the end of that double pull-off, I'm jumping to 19 of the third, but as a non-bent note. So we've got, at the end of that, 2 bends from 20. So altogether, that last little chunk's going to go, and that'll get us ready for section 4. So let's go right back to the start of the section, play it relatively slowly, and then do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. All right, guys, let's have a look at the fourth section. We're going to start off with a bend from 20 of the first string, but I'm going to add sort of a bit of a vibrato to it, which is essentially going to have like an eighth note pulse. So it's going to go over 2 beats. I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. After we've done that, I'm going to add another bend from 20, then bend it down, and then jump to 17 of the first string. So if I do that slowly, it's just going to sound a little bit more accurate to the original if you add that pulse in there. I work into this phrase after that. Let's slow that down. I'm going to play 20 of the first string, and then play 17, 20, 17 as a hammer-on pull-off. At the end of that, I'm jumping to 20 of the second and 17 of the first. At the end of that, I'm doing a bend from 19 of the third string and then playing 19 of the third into 17 of the first. So there's actually a string skip here, and it goes, it's a slight bend, and then jump into the first string. We do that twice, and then we'll work into the second half after that. Let's have a look at what we've got thus far. Okay, hopefully that's all making sense. We're going to use this idea one more time. So we're going to do that bend from 19 of the third string to 17 of the first with the string skip. Then we work into this phrase. Let's take that a little bit slower. I'm going to do a pull off from 20 to 17 and then 19 to 17 on the first string. So there's 2 picks there, exactly the same thing on the second string. Then I'll go. What I'm doing here is a pull off from 19 to 17 on the third, rolling to 19 of the fourth, and then back to 19 of the third again, so to go. So let's add those little pull-offs from the first string and the second string now. At the end of that, so what I'm doing here, what I'm playing is 17 of the third string, pulling off then jumping to 19 of the fourth, pulling off to 17. At the end of that, I'm going to do a little sort of rolling flat finger here. I'm playing 19 of the fifth into 19 of the fourth, back to 19 of the fifth again. To finish that off, 17 of the fourth with a cheeky slide off into oblivion. So let's do that whole last phrase, and then we'll go right back to the start of the section. All right, let's go right back to the start of the section now. One more time with some tabs. All right, guys, last section. This one is a little bit lengthier than the rest, but we'll put it all together. We've just had a key change as well from sort of that A minor pentatonic idea. We've moved everything to B now for the next part. So I'm going to start off with a bend from 10 of the second string, and I'm going to add sort of a quarter note pulse to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then I work into this. I've got 6 notes kind of broken up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the 7th pick, I'm going to pull off from 10 to 7, sort of working down that B minor pentatonic. At the end of that, very similar pulse. I'm jumping to 9 of the third string now, bending that as a full tone, and adding that quarter note pulse to it. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then jumping to 7 of the third string. Hopefully that's all making sense. Then I work into this phrase. Let's slow that down. I'm going to start with a bend from 9 of the third string into a flat finger covering 7 of the first and the second string. We're just going to work through those from the third string to the first. At the end of that, 2 bends from 10 of the first string now. At the end of that, let's slow that down. I'm playing 7, 10, 7 as a hammer-on pull-off, jumping to 10 of the second string, back down to 7 of the first. At the end of that, big sexy bend from 7 of the second string. All right, let's go from the start of this phrase now. Okay, then I work into this phrase. Very sexy, almost got a bit of a Randy Rhoads vibe to it. So I'm going to start with this. I'm doing a hammer-on pull-off, going 7, 10, 7 on the second string, and then jumping to 9 of the third. After that, I play 7 of the second string again. Then from that point, I'm rolling down the pentatonic with a cheeky flat 5 notes. This is actually playing 10, 9, 7 on the third string all in one go. So from the previous chunk now, at the end of that, what I'm doing here, playing 7 of the fourth to 7 of the third, back up to 7 of the fourth. At the end of that, I'm doing a hammer on from 7 to 9 and then going back to 7 again as a single vibrato note. So let's go from the start of this B minor pentatonic phrase. All right, before we get a little bit too far ahead of ourselves, let's go back to those quarter note pulse bends from the start of the section, and then we'll add the second half to it. Okay, after that I work into this phrase. This is really, really fun to play. I'm picking all of these notes, so a little bit of alternate picking will be needed. I'm playing 7, 9, 10 on the second string, and then 7 of the first. It's exactly the same thing twice with a slight break, but the third time I do that, it's sort of a more constant phrase. So I'm going to borrow the first 4 notes, and then I want to go backwards and forwards again. So we're going to go. At the end of that, I'm going to play 10 of the second string. So we're going to go. So at the end of that last group, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 notes in that last phrase. At the end of that chunk, I go into this. So I'm doing a hammer-on pull-off, going 7, 10, 7 on the second string and jumping to 9 of the third. Then from the third string, I'm doing a hammer-on pull-off, going 7, 9, 7 and then jumping to 9 of the fourth. So we've got at the end of that. That's the last bit, and that works into the key change back into A minor as well. So we've got sort of a full semi-breve, a full bar of that one bend from 9 of the third string. Then I bring it down, and then I go. So I've got a bend into a pull-off, going 9 of the third, up and back, pulling off to 7. At the end of that, 2 9s on the fourth, and then jumping to 7. Sorry, 2 9s on the third, and then jumping to 7 of the fourth. So it'll go. And that's the whole last chunk of it. So let's go right back to the start of the section, play it relatively slowly, and then do it again even slower with some tabs. One more time with some tabs. And that was the solo to Shock Me by Kiss. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please click the links in the description box to my Udemy course on modes. Also have links to my Patreon and my Facebook fan page. I'll catch you guys all very soon.